The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
How about you first, Doink?
Well, I mean, I used to wrestle when like a kid. I was an amateur wrestler, and I always loved it. You know, growing up in the New York area, I got to see just about every superstar in the world. You know, I grew up watching all the guys, the Brunos, and half of the guys I'm going to mention are all passed away, you know. And the great ones, everybody who was anybody came through New York. And I always said, man, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. And then I was working security in a nightclub, and I met some of the guys that were wrestling and got to talking to them. And this was before the days of schools and everything. They didn't have them. And I'd go start driving the ring truck, putting the ring up, putting the ring down. And then before the people would come in, some of the older guys, you'd work out with them in the ring. And they'd work you out.
I bet.
But so you were bouncing and you said, hey, how do I get into the biz? And they said,
yeah, I met some of the guys, and
Yeah.
I just said, you know, I always wanted to do that. And
Who helped you get through the front door? Was there any particular wrestler that, you know, really helped you get in there?
Yeah, when I started, it was Johnny Rods.
Nice.
Yeah.
The unpredictable one.
Yeah, and you know, Johnny was great. And then he opened the door, I got in, and then I got real lucky because Alpha and Sika liked me.
Oh,
And
that's a good thing.
yeah, it's a real good thing. And I spent, Alpha at the time was living in Connecticut, had a ring in the backyard, and all of you people now know of the Yokozunas and the Rikishis and the Samus and the Tonga kids. And
Right, the family.
so we were all in the backyard wrestling around, you know, working out. And, you know, and we got a lot of knowledge from Alpha and Sika, and then us kids all started to move along. And you know the story pretty much about all of them. I mean, I don't have to tell you about who did what, where, and when.
Sure.
But it was great. It was a great time. It was a great time to grow up with, in the business, grow up with those guys, you know. And anytime you walked in and Alpha would introduce you to somebody, it certainly made things a little bit better.
Right, sure.
How about you, Claude? How'd you break in?
Me watch the match, the small people. Puis me see Beaver, Sky Lolo, Little Brutus.
Sky Lolo, sure.
One time me go see Beaver, me maybe 18. He tell me, you too young. You 21, call me. Me call. He training me. Puis Pat Beaver, very friend. Pat tell, bring Tiger to the state, 1982.
Okay.
Me wrestling in Madison Square Garden, my first match.
Your
Too
first
nervous.
match?
First match,
Madison Square Garden, your first
Yeah.
match. Jeez. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah, made me very
That's a bad place to start.
Right at the top.
I play baseball. I go to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, my first at bat. There you go, over the right field wall.
me training 6 months, all right?
6 months.
He tell me, you go Madison Square Garden, me, all right? Me tell me, don't look the people. He's packed, all right? Puis me look, me scare, man.
So you walk out there, the place is
the
packed.
match is no good, eh? But the people no see, all right?
Oh God.
That is crazy.
Me very nervous, but after me go, me train Beaver, train me, puis everything is good.
Wow.
Wow.
What a debut.
Yeah.
So you talk about the different sides of two guys. 6 months, his first match was at Madison Square Garden. 10 years and about 1,000 matches. I got there too.
Yeah, but you know, that's a great point. But what's really great about you, Ray, is, well, both of you actually, you opened up in your career during like the golden era of wrestling,
Yeah,
right? And
sure.
you got to see the whole transition, which
Yeah.
we'll get into in some questions, but both incredible starts to careers for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ray, real quick question. Would you consider Doink your most famous character?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the notoriety of the couple WrestleManias and, you know, traveling around the world with the Federation at the time and all that stuff. Yeah, people do remember some of the other things I did. And once in a while, someone will ask me, about it, or to sign a picture from the times before that. But
Right.
generally, without a doubt, the Doink character is the most important one of my career.
So you and Matt Osborne are pretty much are the ones that create
Yeah.
had the Doink character.
Correct.
Matt was released for obvious drug problems that he had. Did Matt ever give you shit about you taking over the character?
Interesting.
No, I mean, as far as Matt and I, we didn't have any problems. We didn't have any personal. And I never did nothing to the guy. He never did nothing to me. I mean, if he had a problem with the office, and the office and him decided to go different ways in the business, that was nothing to do with me. I mean, I wasn't working for the Federation at the time. I didn't know. So, I mean, as far as me and Matt having bad blood with us, I never did with the guy. I mean, if he had...
Did he ever reach out to you at all to talk about it, or just?
I mean, I talked to Matt a couple times, after I had already left. There was promoters that wanted to do, a Doink on Doink match, and they wanted to do...
Which is a pretty good idea, by the way.
and this and that, but I never had a problem with him.
How did you feel when it was broken to you that you were going to take on the character? Were you excited, or were you possibly even disappointed, and like maybe you wanted other things for your career? How did you feel when you were told you were going to do this?
Well, it's not like I woke up one morning and said, you know what, I think I'm going to be a clown and wrestler.
Right,
So,
right. So where were you at when they broke it to you?
Well, the truth of it is, I was home. I was fixing something in my kitchen, and the phone call rings, and as you might or might not know, some of the boys like to tease each other.
Right.
We used to call it playing ribs,
Okay.
So the phone rings, and I answer the phone. I say, hello, and the other end goes, well, this is Vince McMahon. I'd like to talk to you about possibly coming to work.
This is Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
So I said, well, listen, whichever one of my friends is giving me a hard time today, I don't need to talk to you. I hung up the phone. So 10
I
minutes.
fixed the sink, Mrs. Manicotti. You can come back down.
That's pretty funny.
just like Norton and Ralph. So, 5 minutes later, the phone rings again. He says, this is Vince McMahon. I said, listen, I don't have time for this. Whoever's playing ribs on me today, leave me alone and stop calling me. I hung up the phone again.
I fear Vince is starting getting annoyed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So finally, the third time, a girl calls back and said, listen, this is Vince McMahon's secretary. Here's the number for Titan Tower. Please call it back. He wants to speak with you.
Oh, wow.
I said, all right. So
Put the wrench down.
yeah. So
Okay.
now the phone of the guy says, well, geez, I wonder if this is for real, Nah, can't be.
Right.
All right, let me call it back.
Okay.
So I call it back, and hello, World Wrestling Federation. I went, oof.
Oh man.
Oh boy, I just hung up on this cat twice. I said, well, this is Ray Apollo. I'm looking to speak with Mr. McMahon. She goes, yeah, he's been trying to get in touch with you.
Oh my God.
My
Well,
Lord.
let me ask you this, Ray.
that's a true story.
According to Bruce Pritchard, he claims that when they got rid of, or Osborne left, or he was on drug rehab,
Okay.
that Bam Bam Bigelow recommended you for the role as Doink. Is there any truth behind that?
I know that I think Vince had asked a few people, like, about me, who I was, where I was, what was going on. And I think, if I remember right, that Bam Bam and Afa and Yokozuna all told Vince about me.
Okay.
And at that time, Yoko was the champion, and Afa was there with what you guys call, Rikishi Jr. and Sam were the head shrinkers. And Scott, I guess he asked Scott about me too, Bam Bam. So it came from those three guys, really.
So I guess it paid off to know the Samoans then, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're friends of mine, so it was great being with them all this time. They're like family to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Working